What's up, guys? Welcome back to MMA Prophecies, and today I'm going to go over my UFC fight prediction and betting tips for Renato Moicano versus Drew Dober. And this is going to be a great fight, a great matchup. We got striker, submission artist, wrestler in Renato versus primarily a power puncher, kickboxer in Drew Dober. Right, so we've got a tale and a clash of two different styles here that should make for a really, really epic fight. And reason why is because almost all their fights have not gone the distance in these past, like 5 or 6, 7 fights. So I'll go over that play in a bit. Now, in terms of Renato Moicano, overall he's got a good fight IQ. He's shown he can adjust to different fighters and implement different strategies. They're going to give him the best chance at winning that fight. We saw that in Brad Riddell. He was able to put him up against the fence, constantly pressure, and then when he did land, he went to his bread and butter, getting his back, putting up against the fence, and sinking that rear naked choke. And you can see that's how he typically wins fights, is getting that rear naked choke. Now, in terms of his durability, well, he's taken a lot of damage compared to a lot of guys in the UFC, but he did look really good in that last fight with Brad, which was a year ago. So he should have, been fully recovered by now. I'm not sure exactly what that layoff was about. He might have some ring rust there. Before that fight, he did take a lot of damage versus RDA. I mean, if you guys all saw that fight, that was a grueling and epic beatdown that RDA put on him. But the craziest part was in the 5th round, Renato started to beat the living shit out of RDA. That could have been one of the greatest comebacks in UFC history. So, even though he did get knocked out by Rafael Fiziev, Chan Sung Jung, Jose Aldo almost 3 to 4 years ago, I think he's kind of gotten better. His chin's gotten better. He hasn't been knocked out in almost 3 years, right? And he's fought some decent guys. Jai Herbert, good on the feet. Alexander Hernandez, not bad. Rafael was by far the best competition he's faced. And Brad Riddell, kind of subpar in that field. In terms of his grappling, very good grappling. He's gotten better, I think, every single fight. He's got good takedowns compared to a lot of guys. He's got good body locks. He really tries to use his size and pressure to try and take that back. And he's got good control. He primarily goes for control over ground and pound, but he's got heavy enough strikes to allow him to, or lets him open up, or lets other guys open up so he can move towards that submission. In terms of the striking, he showed a lot of improvement for the last few years. His kickboxing looked extremely crisp for the short time we saw it with the Brad Riddell fight, and the very last minutes of Rafael dos Anjos. He's very technical. He's very technical. Just not the most power, but he does enough to keep guys at bay and worry guys on the feet. In terms of his gas tank, his gas tank is decent. It's kind of up and down throughout the fight. But overall he's able to kind of come through when he needs to. So I would say overall his gas tank is decent. I think it's good enough. Stylistically, how do I think this matchup is going to go? Well, I think if Renato avoids getting knocked out by Drew Dober, I think he's going to have the advantage. The advantage in possibly technical striking. He's going to throw more, probably, land more. Drew Dober, obviously, if he lands one massive shot, can put out Renato. That is the big risk here. Or he can just, hurt him several times throughout the fight if Drew Dober is aggressive. Drew Dober is just not that aggressive until the later rounds. He really tries to get people tired, and then he'll go for that big KO finish later on. Now, I think stylistically it's going to favor Renato overall. And that's because Drew Dober hasn't fought a lot of good wrestlers. He hasn't dealt with a lot of guys who are good everywhere, like Renato. And I think that's going to be a really tough matchup for Drew to have to worry about everything. Whereas Renato only has to worry about that one power punch that Drew Dober throws and the pressure. I think Renato could potentially negate that by pressuring Dober, getting up against the fence, taking his back. Okay. Now, in terms of Drew Dober, what are his strengths? Well, he's pretty durable. He takes a ton of hits. Doesn't have the greatest head movement, especially when he's going in for the shot. He's not the quickest because he's short for the division, and he's very, very stocky. So he tends to take a ton of hits before he gives them out. All right, we saw that with Bobby Green, Ricky Glenn, right? Matt Frivola. I mean, he's taking a ton of hits. When he did face a wrestler in Islam Makhachev, he got completely dominated. He got submitted by Beneil Dariush, right? Besides that, he really hasn't fought any really good wrestlers. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. Now, I think Drew Dober... Joe Rogan has said, oh, he's a great kickboxer. I don't think he's a great kickboxer. He's got a good 1-2 to the body. Primarily, what his bread and butter strength is pressuring guys until they get tired. He almost employs the Homer Simpson method, where he gets hit in the head so many freaking times, the other guys get tired, and then he just, boom, knocks him out with one punch. So, that being said, Drew Dober definitely gets tired in the fight the more he takes damage. I don't think he's going to be able to continually take damage like that. I think he needs to improve his head movement. I think he needs to kind of mix in some things. He's kind of one-dimensional, and it's super rare that someone who's one-dimensional gets high up in the ranks, unless you're like Sean Strickland. But even Sean Strickland has good wrestling, good takedown defense, good head movement, good cardio, right? So it's a little bit different. Overall, I'm going to go with Renato Moicano, just because of everything I went over. Like I said, I think he's going to have the stylistic matchup. There's way more things Drew Dober has to worry about than Renato has to worry about. Renato, I think he's going to have the better fight IQ. As long as Renato doesn't get knocked out, I think he potentially submits Drew Dober, rear naked choke, using his length, using his size, his pressure as well, and his striking. So the only thing I'm worried about is Renato's layoff for almost, well over a year, while Drew Dober has been very consistent these past couple of years. Plus, Drew Dober can definitely knock out Renato, but I'm just going to assume that Renato hasn't been knocked out in a while, and he's going to be able to withstand some of that power until he can get a hold of Drew. All right, now in terms of the line, it's minus 140 for Renato. Am I willing to put money on that? I think it should more likely be like minus 125 for Renato, or closer to even money, just because of the layoff. And Renato has been knocked out and hurt several times. We really haven't seen him with solid competition since that massive beating he took versus RDA. But the prop we're going to be looking for does not go the distance. I do not think this fight goes the distance at all. I mean, look at this. Last 5 fights that Drew Dober fought, it ended in a knockout, either him or the other opponent. Renato, last 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, out of the last 10 fights, 9 of them ended in a finish. So that's going to be the prop to look at. If it's minus 200 to 300, I might take it. But yeah, that's it, you guys. I'm going with Renato Moicano. So if you guys like this video, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be coming out with UFC fight predictions and betting tips every single day, as well as UFC news, so you guys can stay in the loop. Hopefully it helps you guys out with your UFC betting and knowledge. All right, so until the next one, peace out, you guys, and good luck out there.